This is going to be a short video on Segues. I started a new Xcode project. I'm going to build an iOS app. So I have those two highlighted. I click Next. I'm going to call it Segues. The interface is going to be Storyboard. Language is going to be Swift. I don't need these boxes checked off. I'm going to say Next. I'm going to save this one on my desktop, but you can save yours in a folder anywhere you want on your laptop. All right. So let us start in the main storyboard. From the main storyboard, I'm going to open up the object library, which is this plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm going to drag on a button. I'm going to just copy and paste that button again so that I have another one. So here I have my two buttons. I'm going to change the background to be a different color, and I'll do that in the identity inspector, which is over on the right-hand side. The attributes inspector, which is on the right-hand side. If you scroll down and you go down to background color, I'm going to make this one yellow. And my other one, again, I'm in the attributes inspector. I scroll down to background. I'll make this one green. I have two buttons. I have a yellow one and a green one. And I'm going to show you two different ways to do segues with these two different color buttons. So a segue is a path from one view controller to another view controller. And in order to have that path, we need a new view controller. So let's create a new view controller. Again, I go to the object library. And I just drag it onto the storyboard. This new view controller will need a file, .swift file attached to it. So I'll do a two-finger click on this folder up here. I'll say new file. It'll be a Cocoa Touch class because it's going to be a subclass of a view controller. It is not a table view controller. It is a UI view controller. So make sure you select subclass of UI view controller. I'm going to call this one second view controller. Language is Swift. Click Next and create that. Now that I have my second view controller.swift file, I'm going to drag it up next to my other view controller files. And then in my storyboard, I'm going to go to this new view controller that I've added. I'm going to make sure it's highlighted by clicking this rectangle up at the top. You can see the blue line on the outside of it, so I know that's highlighted. Next, I'm going to go to the identity inspector, which is this button right here, this tab that looks like an ID, looks like a license. I'll click on that. I'll go into the class drop-down menu, and I'll select second view controller. Now my second view controller is connected to my second view controller.swift file. And that is what we want. So the first segue I'm going to show you is going to be really simple. Let me change the background of this view. So I selected the view by clicking on it, and then I go into the attributes inspector, which is these blue sliders right here. And then I'm going to go down to background, and I'll just make it like this teal color. I'll make it that teal color. So the first one we're going to do is I'm just going to hold down Control. I'm going to click on the button, and I'm going to drag it over to the new view controller we created. And when I let go, it'll allow me to pick Action Segue Show. So this is going to be one way that you can create a segue from this view controller to the other. Alright, I'm going to change this to the iPhone 11, and I'm going to press play so I can check out this on the iPhone 11 simulator. My project opens, I click on the yellow button, and I go to my new segue. You see when we press the yellow button, the other screen appears, and this is called a modal segue because it's one view controller presenting the other view controller. Let me show you what happens when we add the navigation controller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up on the top of this view controller here. I'm going to go up to Product at the top of, I'm going to go up to Editor at the top of Xcode, and I'm going to scroll down to where it says Embed In, and I'm going to embed in a navigation controller. What that does is it puts this navigation controller at the front of my project, and this allows all of the other view controllers to stack on top of this one, and this one will control the other ones, will organize them. So if we press play again, instead of being a modal segue, now it's going to be a push segue. And when I press the button, you'll notice that you can no longer drag this down. It's not a modal segue, it's a push segue, but now because of the navigation controller, I do have this back button, so I can go back to that as well. All right, for the next type of segue, I'm going to do a control click and drag from the icon at the top of this view controller to the second view controller. And when I let go, I get to make another segue. I'm going to pick show again. So this one's connected to this button, and this one's connected to the whole view. So for this segue right here, the new one that we just created, I need to give it an identifier. So I'm going to call it second segue. By giving it an identifier, now I can refer to it in the code. So if I go into open up another editor pane, I'm just going to toggle some of these closed. I have my main.storyboard, and I'm going to open up, I'm going to open up my viewcontroller.swift file. So again, I opened up an editor pane, a new one, and I clicked on my view controller file, and I have my main.storyboard open up on this one. Once you do that, you can toggle some of these panes closed. You have a little bit more room. And I'm going to control click and drag from this green button to below view did load, because this is an action. I'm going to call it second segue button, change it to a UI button, and say connect. So when this button is pressed, I want to perform segue. So I type in perform segue, it autofills for me, and I just hit enter. I'm going to perform segue with an identifier. So this is a string, so I need those quotation marks. I think I called it the second segue. Capitalization and spelling is important here. My sender, I can just put nil for now. And when I press play, I'm going to test out to see if my two different segues work. And my second segue on the green button works now. So I've showed you two different ways to build the segues, and I talked to you a little bit about modal segues versus push segues, and showed you that when you added that navigation controller at the beginning, that'll organize your views, and that'll allow you to do the push segues. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.